So back in October last year, I wanted to try an experiment, which was growing Cante from seed. The year previous, I had had an amazing success rate with growing Cante. I had about 90 and they grew so quickly, so I thought this is quite an easy thing to replicate. I was wrong, so I wanted to share the whole journey with you, but I quickly realised this wasn't going to be a quick success story this time round. They grew really slowly, got really leggy, and I wasn't sure honestly if it's something I was doing wrong. But instead of scrapping the footage, I thought this could be a real life experiment and example of how seedlings can take quite a long time to grow. It's kind of a real time experiment and I wanted to share my honest experience with you. This does show what seeds can be like. They can be extremely slow growing. So this is part one of growing Cante from seed. It's going to show you what I've learned along the way, what maybe went wrong. So maybe if you're trying to grow some Cante from seed, you can learn some lessons from my experience this last year. And then hopefully we can do a part two video when I have a bit more success. But I'm going to show you what's happened over the last year now. So let's check it out. To start with, if you do want to grow succulents from seed and want a really quick step-by-step guide, I have made a video for this, which I'll link above. It's really quick step-by-step, so it's nice and easy to follow, so you can always do that if you want to grow some succulents from seed. However, I really want to share this real-life kind of experiment with you, and it shows really what seeds can be like and how long they can take. So firstly, what I did was just made my mix. So the mix is a 50% compost, 50% sharp sand. So the compost, what you use, just you can experiment with. Basically this time I used a multi-purpose compost, which I think was error number 1. So they did germinate really quickly, as you'll see in the clip, but I just wanted to show you that I did prepare some stuff beforehand and then I started filming when I sowed the seeds. So let's have a look. So as mentioned, I have already prepared some soil. It's been sitting here for probably nearly a month now. If I take this lid off, which I always have to fight with, there we go. There's lots of kind of moisture in there. You'll see the soil is still lovely and damp, so it's perfect conditions for the Cante seeds. So these are the ones I actually purchased from somebody else, and there is 100 in here. But I think I'm just going to do 50 today. I don't want to kind of sow them all at once and gamble it all in one go. So yeah, I'm going to do 50. I might just divide down the middle and maybe plant some other ones as well at the same time, just to use obviously all the room up. So I just found this little plant label. I'm just going to pop that in the centre. Oh, it's a little bit too long. Pop that in the centre to divide up. Shouldn't really touch it, so don't do what I'm doing. But yeah, a little bit of a wavy line, but perfect, nice and divided. So I've just got some paper and we are going to now get the seeds. First of all, make sure your surface is nice and dry. So yeah, I've got some paper here. So the next step is to get the seeds ready. So I just use a piece of paper just so I'm able to see the seeds a little bit better. I kind of fold it so I've kind of got a little funnel-y thing to use. I'm not very good at the terminology. So these are my Cante seeds. Like I said, I'm not going to use them all. I'm going to try and do about half. I have got a video on this process, which is a lot more in depth, so check that out as well. So, as you can see, there are some seeds on this ID. So I'll just very gently, because they are like specks of dust, just pop them onto the piece of paper from there. These ones you have to sow when it's under 20 degrees. And so here are some of the seeds. You can see how tiny they are. They're like little specks of dust. So I'm just going to tip some more out of this little packet. So fiddly. Right, I'll say that's roughly half. There are some of the seeds to sow. Tiny, tiny. Right, let's get sowing. So I'm just going to pop them on this side and literally just tip them out into the soil. Try and get them as spaced out as you can. So when they are successful, it's a lot easier then to kind of pot them on and get them out of the soil. If they're all grouped together, it's really difficult to get them out because they're so delicate. So yeah, just sprinkle all them in there. And then just make sure you label them to make sure you know what lovely seeds are growing. So I have a little label machine and I just pop that on the side there. I'm just going to do the same with the other seeds I've got as well. So literally the same process again. So I'll just probably do a time lapse for you. So that's the seeds all sown. I just need to make a label actually for that one. And then once they are sown, you need to make sure you're retaining as much moisture in there as possible. So keep the lid on, and it needs to be placed in somewhere which receives indirect bright sunlight. So my kitchen windowsill is perfect for this. So as you can see, it's a really sunny day. It's blue sky, really sunny day, and we haven't got light streaming through. So if this was, light and sunshine beaming down on here, it would just cook the seeds and they wouldn't survive. So because it's kind of getting indirect light, it will be perfect for these. So I'm going to just leave them on there now. And they take around 3 weeks to germinate. If they haven't germinated within like maybe 4 to 5 weeks, I would get rid of them. They've not been successful. So yeah, around 3 weeks. So obviously I will check back in with you then. So let's wish the seeds luck. So it's been 10 days since I sowed the seeds. So let's take a look and see if there's any update. Okay, so let's remove the lid. And we have some success. So these are the Cante seeds. Got a few tall ones in there growing, and there are some really teeny ones coming as well. So yeah, so far so good. And then this side was the longissima seeds that I've sown as well. So yeah, 10 days in and they're starting to germinate. We've got some success, which is brilliant. And just as a reference for size, this is my fingernails. They are incredibly small. So I'll check back in a few weeks and we'll see how much they've grown. So it's now been another couple of weeks since the last video, and here is the update. So we don't have any more growth. It's just the ones that did germinate originally, but they are getting really tall. You can see them reaching there for some light. So what I did is move them from the windowsill about a week ago and put them under some grow lights I have indoors. But I just don't know if the grow lights are strong enough at the minute for my other succulents and these. So I don't know if the reaching was already from the windowsill or the grow light. So I think what I'll do is just move them into the greenhouse because we're still getting quite a lot of sun. It's quite warm in here at times. So yeah, I might just move them into the greenhouse to make sure they're getting enough light. It would make it a lot easier if they weren't quite as leggy when I go to put them up later on when they've obviously grown a lot bigger. It's just not very good when they've got quite a long stem and obviously they're very flimsy. So yeah, I want to try and get them to grow a bit more compact than what they are now. So yeah, that's the update. You just have to kind of keep checking on them, see what they're up to. And yeah, these ones need a little bit more light now, so I will do that. It's safe to say these were kind of neglected over the winter time. So it's now been 6 months since the last clip, which is insane. Where does time go? But let's have a look. Let's see the update on these Cantes. I've just broke the tub. And see what we're dealing with. So these have been, I think they've been in my garage under grow lights. I bought everything out maybe a month ago, maybe a bit less, to get into the greenhouse because we've got really good lighting now. It's April, for what month it was, and yeah, there's really good kind of temperature at the minute. It doesn't get too hot. Yeah, and like I said, there's lots of light. So really, yes, they have grown. They've probably just got more leaves than anything. And if I zoom in, you can see they've started to get a little bit of colour, but they're really slow this time compared to previous times of growing them. And I just wonder if they just do a lot better out of this pot. So I think I'm going to repot them into like a seed tray and just see if they do better. I find Cantes love water. Obviously, it's really humid in here. It's really still moist, so I've not done anything. It just keeps the humidity in here with having the lid on. So yeah, it's strange they're not growing as quick because I've got some which were, let's have a look at the date. October. Okay, these are July, but the difference between these and these is insane. And I know like every, type of succulent is different. These are all Echeveria, but this is insane. So these ones, incredible, like have grown so well. These are actually my own hybrids as well. This poor little pot. So yeah, I'm also going to have to put these on as well. But these ones I really want to do well. I love Cantes, and I think I must have done about 90 before. So yeah, they normally grow really well. So what we're going to do today is repot them into seed, or a tray with cells for seeds, basically. That's a mouthful. And just see if they do any better. Get them kind of in some normal kind of lighting and normal conditions for them. If I just turn around and show you my seedlings, which I've potted on recently. So I'm thinking about doing something like this. I just don't know if they're going to be a little bit tall. Yeah, they might be a little bit tall for these trays, because these are teeny tiny. If you look at my finger compared to the tray, excuse my disgusting nails at the minute. Yeah, they're very quite shallow. So we'll see. But these seeds are growing really nicely. I've been here a little while now, but they're growing. They're starting to colour up. So yep, let's get into it. So I've decided on a bigger tray. Obviously these are going to look a bit lost in here because these are quite big, but they've got some really good depth to them, and I can obviously put more than one Cante in here, maybe get 4 in a little cell. So I'm going to mix together some standard compost, which is in my lovely celebrations tub, and some grit. I'm not going to do too much grit because I find that seedlings love kind of moisture. It makes them grow really well. So yeah, I'm just going to add a little bit of grit to this and just fill up the cells. Yeah, it's still really small, so I wouldn't normally put on at this stage, but I just feel like they might benefit from it. So I'm just going to pop them in here. I'm going to have quite a few in one tray, which is good. Save some space. I'm going to try and kind of plant them into the soil quite deeply. They're quite leggy, it's just how they've grown this time. I find it weird, they all get the same light levels, but they all can be completely different. So it just depends what mood the seeds are in when they grow, maybe. Who knows? And then we'll just do the same over here. Right, it's easier if I just make little holes with my trusty skewer. I do love a skewer, they're so handy with gardening things. Right. So these aren't too fiddly. Obviously, when they grow and they're all bunched together like the other ones I just showed, they are so hard. They're so delicate. Obviously, you can be a little bit rough with them, but I don't like to be. I have accidentally dropped a tray of mine before, so, and they all grow really well, but I just had no idea what was what from like ID wise. So yeah, try not to drop any seeds. That's a big tip that I would advise not to do. Right, I'm just going to carry on with this. I'm not going to show you every single one I do because obviously, as you can see, it's very repetitive, not that exciting. So I'm just going to give you a little time lapse. So that's them popped in here. There are around between 40 and 50. There's more than I thought. So I'm just going to keep watering them every 3 or 4 days, just not let the soil get too dry, and then just keep an eye on them really and just see how big they get. Hopefully they'll be nice and beautiful soon. So this here is one of my beautiful Cantes from a couple of years ago. It's been in this arrangement over winter, so it's not really had any water yet, but it's looking really good. And then this is my huge one, but because I don't water it in winter, it does lose a lot of its leaves. So I've started watering it now, and hopefully it'll start growing nicely. But wow, those colours. It's the 19th of June, and I'd love to say, look at those massive Cantes. However, the Cantes are here, and they are still tiny. Some are still really small, probably the same size as they were when I planted them. They're a little bit wonky and all sorts. Some have grown a little bit, maybe like that one, this one, and then I think the biggest one we've got is this one. I'd love to give you an update and say, look how big they've grown and how much better they are, but they're just really slow this time. The reason I did this video of Cantes is because I did them before and they were really quick. So I don't really know what's happening. They were the other side, they were in the sun. I've got some shade netting in my greenhouse because at the minute we are having sun all the time. And I wonder if they've just got a little bit hot maybe and it's just been too much for them. But I water them every single day because it is so hot. And I'm learning a lot more that succulents, especially seedlings, love water. They thrive sitting in water, which is obviously the complete opposite of a mature plant. So these ones are from earlier in the year and they are massive. So I kind of wish I did this video on those, but you know, you learn, and obviously you can't repeat the same process. The last time I did the Cantes, I had 90 successful seedlings and they were beautiful. So, you know, it's just one of those things. It depends on so many different factors. It may be that the soil's a bit different this time. It may be that it's too hot at the minute. You know, there's so many different factors that go into it. But I have got some beautiful ones which are growing nicely in this tray and this tray. So these have got a lot bigger. Got a random leaf in there. And there. So these are doing really well, as are these ones. These are still quite small up this end, but these ones here are filling up the cells really nicely now. So yeah, a lot of success in other areas, which is brilliant. And I'm now starting to pollinate lots of different ones for the year. They are all blooming, so I'm just using that to my advantage and yeah, hopefully make some nice ones for future. But yeah, that's the update at the minute. So the next clip will be another update and I hope they've grown a lot more. Fingers crossed. And weeks later, unfortunately, I still have not a lot of growth at all. So I've decided to repot them into little cell trays, which I do for all of my seedlings, and I'm using a different mix as well. So I'm just repotting them here. They are very tiny. Hopefully this will give them the kickstart they need. So I was losing all hope for the Cantes, but it is now August and I'm really pleased to say we have some growth. So anything with a yellow label in is where I've popped the Cantes. So as you can see, we have some growth. So I think it probably was the compost they were in. I have changed this year, or tried to change, to just a compost mixture mixed with some grit for my succulents. But it seems that is just not keeping them happy. I think there's just too much bark in compost nowadays and things that which retain too much moisture or just aren't very good quality really. So now I've changed back to John Innes and a little bit of grit. They're doing a lot better. Obviously still very slow, like that, the growth on that is obscenely slow compared to other ones, and usually they are really fast. So they're okay, they're doing a lot better than they were. So yeah, that's the update for August. And just in comparison, these are seeds from April this year. So they were actually sown in April and this is how big they are. So this is the kind of growth rate I usually expect. It does depend on the variety. These are lots of different ones. We've got some hybrids here. These are some Lowy hybrids which are my own hybrids. I don't know what the parentage is apart from knowing it's from a Lowy. These ones are a Rioja. Again, I don't know the parentage. I've got about 10 of these and they're all very different. These are the ones which look quite similar here. And yeah, just got some different ones. We've got some beautiful Strictifloras growing there. We've got over here some Lilicenas. So, you know, these are a lot bigger. These are actually like small in comparison to the other ones that I've repotted on recently over here. So yeah, it's strange that the Cantes are so slow or have been so slow, but I just wonder if the compost has been a huge part of that. They are now on a roll. So some of them have actually got quite big in the cells, and I'm ready to repot them on because I find that when succulents fill up the cell, if you repot them on quite quickly into something bigger, they continue that growth. So when repotting onto the next size, I use a compost, a grit and a molar clay. It seems to give them the nutrients they need and also the drainage they need as well. And that's the update so far. So I never ever expected them to take that long to get to such a small size. But it's one of those things with seeds, you do learn so much along the way. Obviously there are quite a few lessons I'll take away from this kind of experiment and this kind of growing season for the Cantes. So definitely multi-purpose compost is one kind of error that I made. I didn't realise how bad quality it is now, so if you are looking to grow some succulents, do some research into your compost that you're using, because apparently it makes so much difference. They need some really good quality compost to get the nutrients right and obviously get the kind of the water that they need the moisture, but they don't want to sit in things that are too organic, so the bark is probably holding too much water and things and then not giving the soil the water it needs. So I think it's quite a complicated thing, and yeah, definitely switching back to my Johniness has obviously worked so well. It's only been a couple of months now since they've been in that mix and they've grown so much in comparison to what they had grown already. Number 2 error I would say that I made is when I put them into the deeper cell tray and I put 4 into 1, I think that would probably stall growth quite a lot. Now I've done quite a lot of research on it. What succulents tend to do is grow their roots first and then grow the main kind of plants. So because they were sitting in a pot that was really too big for them, they were probably using all that energy to try and grow some roots to fill out that pot. Obviously because the soil was not very good and they're in that big pot, it was kind of a losing battle for them. So what I would do is always use the small cell tray that I've now put them into, which is the 264, and it just kind of, it's a perfect size for a seedling basically. They are, I think they're 2 centimeters squared, so they are teeny tiny, but it's just perfect for them to grow their own root system, get to quite a good size, and then you can see them grow quite quickly in that cell. And then once they've got to a good size that fills the cell, you can then put them on into the next size up. So definitely 2 errors I've made looking back over this video, and something that I would change moving forward with my seedlings. Something else I've learned this year is to make sure you water your seedlings regularly, especially in the growing season. Because the temperatures are very hot, they do grow a lot and they're needing a lot of water, especially Cantes and especially seedlings. Kind of a mixture of the both means they do need water kind of every day, and that really helps them to thrive. Whereas if they're not getting that water, they're not going to grow as quickly, and it does make a huge difference. And also potting them on quickly makes a difference too. And looking back at the start of the video, I wish I would kind of kept an eye on them when they were very, very tiny seedlings, because they got quite tall quite quickly. So if I would have maybe noticed that a little bit sooner, I could have maybe counteracted that with a little bit more sunlight to get them to grow a bit more compact and tall, because I think that has kind of hindered them a little bit. It's just not the ideal kind of size seedling to have. You want them to have more of a shorter stem and a bigger body, so that may have made them a little bit weaker, and maybe that's why they grew a little bit slower as well. But again, it's just one of those things with seedlings, you want to just leave them on the side and forget about them and let them do their own thing, because that's the best way to kind of do it for seedlings. But I suppose you do need to keep a check on them more regularly as well. But that's everything for today. I hope you've enjoyed seeing kind of a real-time growth of an Echeveria. It can obviously, like you've seen, take such a long time. Other ones I've had, like this year, I've had such quick growers, so it does really just depend on the type, the time of year, and also luck. I really do think that comes into it massively. So I've got a lot more seedling videos coming up. I've sown some seeds over the last couple of weeks, some from one of my variegated unicorn poos, which I'm really excited about. And also I've got lots of hybrids I'm making, and just lots of different seeds that I'm trialing. It's something I like to do every year and try and learn from it, and obviously share it with you. So if that's something you'd like to see, please do subscribe to my channel. It really does help me, and obviously it gets you notified of the video as well. If you've enjoyed this video today, please do give it a like, and please ask away any questions you may have, or let me know what you think of the video. Let me know if there's anything you spotted along the way which I could have done differently, or anything that you've had challenges with your growing. I'd like to try and help where possible. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.